Hello, and welcome to the Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynn Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business. Oh, Rach, I'm such a believer in going with your strength. What about you?
Yeah, I think that we both started our business because we love words, but also, we don't love doing everything, do we?
No. When it comes to numbers, I love to know what they are, but I want somebody else to tidy them up for me.
And that's why we love Rounded, because they help us handle the numbers.
Exactly. All the numbers are there. And that means you don't have to dread the conversation with your accountant. So it's all up to date and your accountant can log in, and rounded reports are perfect for creative professionals like us who love clarity without the complexity, as they say.
Exactly. And if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you get 20% off an annual subscription of Rounded every year.
That's fantastic. Great deal.
Yeah.
Hey, Rach.
Hey.
This week we've got a guest that I'm sure most of our listeners will be aware of or familiar with, and perhaps be a member of her amazing Facebook group.
Yes, we are chatting to Georgia Rickard. We've just been off air talking about how we are both connected with her. She was my editor when I was a travel writer years ago. But you and I are both members of Georgia's Media Circle, which is a really powerful collection of, writers and PRs and lots of other creative types. And it's just grown massively in recent years. So, yeah, I love that group.
I love it too. There's some amazing people in there, and it certainly connected me with a lot of PRs that I normally wouldn't, because, when you're a freelancer, you sometimes get off those lists, and I've found some really good experts and some inside information. I've got some great people I've quoted through the group. And I love, Georgia has some great events, including BrandCat, which I'm signed up for and I'm looking forward to, and that's coming up. Yes. So shall I introduce Georgia for all our listeners?
Yes, please.
Okay, Georgia Rickard is an award-winning journalist turned content strategist who kickstarted her career writing for Cosmopolitan before becoming Australia's then youngest magazine editor at 23. By 26, George was steering the ship of Australia's biggest selling travel magazine, Australian Traveller, before spending 3 years as contributing editor at Tourism Australia, and then a further 2 as editor-in-large with Virgin Australia. She had stints at Marie Claire, The Today Show, Fairfax Media and the Seven Network, and they've also interspersed with content and campaign productions for Apple, Accor, Nike, Nestle, Blackmores, Mirvac, Volkswagen and Airbnb. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
She's an accomplished public speaker and educator. We know this. And George was also co-founder of the Modern Travel Media Summit and the Travel Boot Camp, which was an industry event series delivered in collaboration with brands such as National Geographic, CNN, Intrepid Travel, and Vogue Australia. So welcome, Georgia.
Wow.
Thank you, guys. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of brand mentions in there.
That's good. It's on brand to have brand mentions, I think. Yeah.
It's funny when you sort of think you know someone, but then their bio is read out and you're like, okay, yeah. There's a lot.
You do even more than we knew.
Yeah. Well, we both love Georgia's Media Circle, as we said. So talk to us about how that started. I think we said off air, I thought it was 6 years. You said it was 10 years, and it has grown massively.
That's right. Look, and there are really sort of 2 reasons why I started it. And I'll start with one that I wasn't actually consciously aware of, the reason that I started Georgia's Media Circle, which was a really big pain point that I had as a journalist. And that was, I was very good at telling other people's stories, but I really wasn't very good at telling my own. And I was watching other people in our space get ahead, and I didn't understand why. And that was really frustrating to me, because I thought my work was at least as good as theirs, if not better. I was certainly very dedicated, but people were building bigger names for themselves. And so that was kind of one reason why I started it. But the other reason was simply, I needed a place to place call outs with my favorite journalists. I was editing 2 outlets at the time. And then with time, it wasn't just about journalists, but we got some PRs involved. And of course, as the industry has grown and shapeshifted so much, and you guys would know this, right? Like as storytellers, we're telling stories in 1,000 different ways at the moment.
Yeah.
And so I needed to add more people into the conversation, social producers and photographers and videographers and brands. And, of course, now every brand is basically its own publishing outlet. And so the tone and timbre of the group and the caliber of people in there is very high, and the commonality is that they're all professional storytellers, but it isn't just about journos and PRs anymore. It's about everybody who's telling stories in their own way.
Amazing.
I know you send out a list of who's joined in both an email and on the Facebook group, and it's pretty impressive.
It's really useful.
Really big names there, and it shows the high caliber of the group. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, look, it's very much consumer facing lifestyle brands, people who either are them individually, right? We have lots of influentials, but then of course, anything from Canva or Pinterest or Uber or whatever, with sort of global outlets like New York Times or Al Jazeera, and then of course local outlets like Marie Claire or The Project. So if those are the sorts of brands or spaces that you play in, then absolutely George's Media Circle is the place for you.
Yeah.
Other than Rachel's list, of course.
Of course. There's space for us all.
There totally is. Because your bio mentioned that you worked across journalism and content, but what I've seen is that you're doing a lot more content. How has that evolved over the years?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the evolution of my own career really reflects the evolution of George's Media Circle, which is an evolution of the industry, right? Like we are telling stories in such different ways now. I mean, I was a writer, of course. And then with time, I learned to pick up a camera. With time, I learned to use my voice and become a speaker and an educator. At the same time, brands were entering the conversation and becoming, publishing their own magazines or their own blogs, their own social. I mean, every company now, as I said, is its own media outlet. And so it made sense for a lot of us who were writers or journalists or editors to start to turn our attention to how we might consult to a brand who needs our storytelling skill set. And I would say that's really what I do in the consultancy side of things. It's how can I help you as a brand tell stories through whatever lens that is? And it's not always just through, writing or photography. Sometimes it's influencer campaigns or just the strategy component, right? Like doing an audit of a social account.
Yeah.
And is that the kind of stuff that you do under your agency, We Are George? Because I know you're not doing travel writing anymore. So how did the agency come about and who are you working with?
It's a great question. I think probably like you guys, at some point you start to see that there is more that you can do with your skill set than just be on the tools of producing copy.
Yeah.
And, especially with the rise of AI and so on. But I mean, honestly, I also just think it's part and parcel of maturing as a business person. I couldn't afford to be on the tools anymore. And it wasn't where my interests lay anymore. More and more I was wanting to help other people, to grow younger people, to help my clients to make more money, like realistically.
Yeah.
And so certainly when I was younger, working with consumer-facing major conglomerates was very exciting to me. And, I'm very fortunate that my client list has been so incredible. We tend to focus on hospitality and tourism clients. So people like Airbnb, Accor, QT Hotels, Tourism Australia, tourism, a lot of the STOs, Tourism WA or Queensland, Hamilton Island. So really like fantastic, wonderful brands to work with. But I will also say that one of the other things that has happened for me as I have evolved as a person, as well as a business owner, is my interests have personally shifted again from wanting to help brands tell their stories, which is of course what the agency does, to really wanting to tell my own story and monetize that. And so the agency continues on, We Are George, but increasingly my time and energy and efforts is really around building my own voice and my own thought leadership now. And, that's it's just the next phase of evolution for me.
It's interesting what you said. I love what you said about how you evolved from not wanting to be on the tools to, almost helping businesses solve their problems. And I really feel like that's been a bit of a trajectory for my career as well. You end up you do have so much knowledge, and you find in those discovery calls, you have a lot more knowledge than the client, and you can see a path forward for them, which is quite exciting. I think so many experts that we talk to say that is the future. Someone who can actually create those roadmaps for a client and see the path forward rather than just being, the order taker, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely. And I think part of that comes down to your identity, right? Like stepping into, I'm a leader, I'm an expert, I'm an authority, I know what I'm doing, and I'm here as a counterpart, or as the leader in this conversation to solve a problem for you, rather than coming at it as, with kind of that obsequious, oh, I'll do anything for you, and what do you want? And so that's a lovely kind of maturation that I think is very validating, and one reason why I think, being a service provider can be such a lovely confirmation of your own sense of confidence and certainty in the value of what you provide. But I will also say that beyond that, I see a lot in George's media circle, people come into the group and I say, introduce yourself. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm a problem solver. I can do anything. I can solve whatever problem you have. And what, just give me some work. And there's still this.
Yeah.
So getting really clear on, this is what I do. This is how I do it. I do it very well. I mean, yes, we are spinning a million plates, but having the ability to really say no and only focus and having the confidence to be like, this is what I do. This is what I offer. This is what I'm good at. I think the more you can edit your own suite of offerings to just niche down, the better you'll get, the greater your expertise will grow, the greater your reputation will grow, and then you start to really get a lot more momentum in whatever direction it is that you are choosing to go in. So confidence is key, really.
Yeah.
I'd also love to chat about the events, because I've been to a few George's Media Circle events and they're amazing, because partly it's that caliber of people. It's always really good. And I've signed up for Brand Camp. So tell us a little about what you've got planned for Brand Camp and what's different about it.
A nice question. Well, I obviously love having you at our events. And, I think, of course, business is connection. And especially when you're a storyteller, right? If you're a creative person, you tend to be quite led by emotion. And so we really thrive off connecting and growing together. And so, any kind of live event is so powerful for that. But Brand Camp came about as a result of the observations that I was seeing in the industry, right? Like, we all want a bigger reputation. We all know that our reputation is what gives us work. No one wants to be a TikTok dancing queen. And we all have a lot of discomfort around how we make ourselves visible. But the reality is, you need to.
Yeah.
Let's play a little game, because there's a trend that's happening in the industry. And I want you to imagine that you have booked a flight to go to Thailand, and then you hear on the news that all flights with this airline have been cancelled for the next 3 months. And you jump on social media and you go to the airline's social page, and you've got two options. You might receive a post that's just a generic branded, logo post. So sorry about this, guys. No flights the next 3 months, all best. Or you might get a post from the CEO. It's a video, from him or her, and they're saying, deeply apologetic, this is where we're at, and so on. Obviously, we're going to have very different emotional responses to each of those messages, yeah?
Yeah.
And if we think about what human beings want now, which is, we live in an age where we're desperately seeking connection as, communities fragment and so on. We're really looking to connect with human faces and personal messaging, yeah? And there's been this big shift in the way, and also we're just fatigued of corporate messaging. So there's this big shift towards this overused word, but authentic, right? Authentic, in personal, trustworthy kind of content. That's what audiences want. And at the same time, we're also seeing AI, come and really suck the bottom out of our industry. You can't get away with just producing generic listicles anymore, particularly as a writer or a content creator. And so all of these trends are pointing towards the fact that as creators, we need a personal brand.
Mhm.
It isn't about being a TikTok dancing queen, but it's about having a personal, professional reputation that sets you apart, both in the work that you're producing for people, but also in your, in your reputation and the way that you represent yourself. And so, whether you wanted to accept it or not, we all need a personal brand. And Brand Camp is about helping people learn what it looks like to build a professional personal brand, while also keeping you abreast of the latest trends in storytelling that are actually going to see you, get to grips with what it looks like to inject your personality into the way that you write, and why that's actually so important for modern audiences, and for our industry.
Oh, it sounds amazing. And unfortunately, I'm going to miss it because I'm away. It's really interesting. I think you've given us a little code that we'll share at the end for Rachel's listeners and, listeners of the podcast to get a little discount on a ticket. So I think it would just be brilliant to go along to, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a shame you're not going to be there, Rachel, although Lynn, obviously stoked you're going to be in the room. There's really great speakers. We've got the editor-in-chief of Time Out coming to talk, the lifestyle editor of news.com.au, the head of marketing for South by Southwest, if anybody's interested in wanting to know how to get on stage, because you actually still can. There's a second entrance that they don't, even though, submissions have technically closed. I mean, there's going to be lots of really amazing insights and shared on the day. But, this is the event that I've created that I wanted to help me be more successful. So,
yeah. And that's pretty much how we approached the Content Bite Summit when we did it. It was the event that we wanted to go to, wasn't it, Lynn? Very selfishly, we created, an event with all the speakers we wanted to listen to and the knowledge we wanted to gain. And I think what's really interesting coming out of live events, like you say, is the people you meet, the relationships that come out of that. Like we've had, regular groups forming masterminds, and they still meet every month and talk about work, talk shop. We've had books be written out of the event, friendships have sprung up. I think that's been the most amazing thing, to put people in a room together and see, how that community evolves. It's so powerful. And we know that firsthand because we watched it 2 years running and we were like, this is amazing. So I think it's any live event that you can go to that's going to teach you skills to take your business into the future, but also help you meet other people so you can expand your referral network and expand your tribe is really important as well.
I love what you actually just said there, Rach, about expanding your tribe, because ultimately, I mean, that is what we all need to be doing, is growing our tribe. And I know that that term can be a little bit overused. And I know for a lot of us, we think, oh, I don't want to be an influencer. I'm not looking to have a big Instagram following. And I get it. I'm not here to dance in front of an audience on TikTok either. And once you start to shift your mindset around, a tribe really being your community of clients, and peers and collaborators, all of a sudden you have a whole new reason to want to show up online, to want to show up to events, to maybe even put on events, to nurture your tribe. And, of course, proximity is power. The closer we are to people, the deeper the sense of connection they have to us, the more likely they are to refer to us, to buy from us, to advocate for us. And so, having a tribe and nurturing it is just, it's fundamental. It's foundational, but it is fundamental to growing your own reputation. And
we also know it's a big job putting on an event. I mean, how much are you juggling the agency work with, with doing the event side of things?
Yeah. So I think one thing that is probably unique to me at the moment is I have a couple of clients who are like family to me that I keep, but I fired a lot of clients last year, which is a ballsy thing to do, I know, but I knew that I wanted to step into building my own voice and thought leadership. And I knew that the more attention I was able to spend paying towards that pursuit, the faster I'd get where I wanted to go. And so I would say about 80% of my day at the moment is content production, working with my community, studying different platforms, selling tickets to the event, building my own thought leadership. I mean, the more you show up online, the more you produce content, and you guys will know this, the more you start to understand and see reflected back to yourself what your superpowers are, what your areas of expertise are, what your unique, way of solving problems looks like, your unique phrases, your unique thought leadership, all of the things that actually as creatives we need to be able to stand out in a market where basically everyone's offering the same thing.
Yeah.
Social media and content production on your own channels is, yes, it's a business necessity, but it's also such an amazing tool for refining your own creative style and your own your USP as a service provider. So
yeah.
Because I really wanted to talk to you about influencer culture. You talked a bit about using influencers in some of the marketing outreach for clients, but do you call yourself an influencer? And what does that mean to you? What does the word mean to you?
Oh, it's such a great question. You guys tell me, like, what do you think the word influencer means? I'd be curious.
Well, obviously it can mean anyone who's really influential, in our space. But my first impression is like a TikTok dancer or somebody who, I don't know how big these people are anymore, but the kind of people that get sponsorship, from brands and share on their
unboxing
socials.
videos.
Yeah, I haven't really explained that very well, but that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I'm with you. I think I hear influencer and I think, no, I am a heavyweight professional who has operated at the top tier of our industry for over a decade.
And an influencer kind of diffuses that, doesn't it? It just really is not, it's not giving it the weight of all your experience and skills in a sense.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us feel that way. I mean, I want to be, yes, I like to, I would like to think that I have a level of influence or am influential, in our industry. I'm definitely working now on growing a brand that is consumer facing. But what's really important to me, and I would imagine it's probably important to you guys as well, and I would, your audience, is I'm here to be credible and respected and known for my brain and my voice, not for how good I look in a bikini.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing, isn't it? Because there is that, I think also that influencer culture, let's be honest here, it's only women that get branded as influencers in a sort of condescending, lightweight tone. Yeah, you don't see many male influencers. They're thought leaders.
You are so, and that internalized misogyny is just, it pops up at every angle. I mean, I think the other really tricky thing that I have had to wrestle with myself, and I think is just an ongoing struggle for most of us, is we have this internalized judgment around making ourselves visible, right? Like I hear this all the time. Oh, I just want my work to speak for itself. And we say that as a means of letting ourselves off the hook of having to take responsibility for actually putting ourselves out there. And that's a lesson that I learned firsthand, actually, when I was moonlighting at Women's Health magazine as deputy for a few weeks in the noughties. And I got a phone call, it was probably 7:00 on a Wednesday night. And it was from Sarah Wilson, who was, you guys I'm sure would know, she'd been editor of Cosmo and host of MasterChef. And there she was cold calling the women's health officers at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. And she said, I didn't answer, someone else did, but she said, oh, hi, it's Sarah Wilson here. I'm doing a bit of my own PR. I have a new book. And I remember thinking, that is somebody who has really gotten to grips with the humility that is required to roll up your sleeves, do the work, get the word out there, and really appreciate and understand that if you want to be successful, you have to take responsibility for that. And so this idea of making yourself visible is, it's often it's a painful one, and it's really uncomfortable when you have to put yourself out there. But that is the reality if you want to become influential. And of course, we need to become influential if we really want to be able to set our own prices, choose the opportunities that we take for ourselves, right? Like build a business that actually lights us up and makes us happy. You can't just sit in the background and hide and hope that somebody reaches, taps you on the shoulder and, hands you everything you want on a platter. It's not how the world works.
Yeah.
I know you've talked a bit about developing your brand and how you're spending a lot of time doing that at the moment. How would you suggest people approach it if they are very much like, have been operating for years in the background or just sharing their work with the odd thing? I mean, is it a series of steps to go from doing that to suddenly doing like LinkedIn Reels? Are they Reels or are they just LinkedIn videos? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. You can tell I don't post any.
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of things here. And I think it talks, the specifics about LinkedIn Reels or whatever. I mean, I think however you decide to show up, it has to be done in a way that is congruent with who you are, right? Like you may actually love dancing and that's really fun. And maybe you do want to create some reels around you dancing. And if that's who you are and your personality, amazing. There's no wrong or right way to build a brand. But kind of the bigger lesson, I think, and the main attitude shift that needs to take place is and this is so cheesy, but it really is about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's not about, making yourself visible on social media. That is in every area of your business. You have to do things that scare you. You have to do things that challenge you, because once you've lived through it, that's how you learn, okay, this is actually safe. And the more you can do, the more you can fail.
Yeah.
The more you can make yourself uncomfortable and be willing to muck things up, the greater the rewards will be, because the faster you can do that, the faster you'll learn and the faster you'll get where you want to go. And I hear it all the time, and I feel like I don't want to be a broken record, but we all constantly need reminding, because failure is painful, that failure is the way. There is no one perfect shortcut to your dream life. You are going to have to throw a certain amount of spaghetti at the wall and accept that a lot of that pasta is going to end up on the floor.
Yeah.
It's true, really interesting what you say about, I've got this goal and I'm going to do everything to get me to the fastest way possible. I haven't really thought about that before, but it's really interesting, isn't it? Thinking about it in terms of setting yourself a marketing goal or a personal brand goal. And right, these are the steps I'm going to do, like applying strategy that you might do for a client to yourself.
Yes.
I really liked your point about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I think that sometimes it takes practice, that once you've put yourself out there and out of your comfort zone, it gets easier the more times you do it. Like everyone hates speaking in public at the beginning, and then it gets easier and easier. And I think part of that is you sort of get over yourself.
Yeah.
You just you care way more about yourself than anybody else does. And you sort of get beyond it and you start thinking about what you're saying rather than what people are thinking looking at you.
Absolutely. But the only way out is through, right?
Yes.
Of course. And so it's going to hurt the first few times. I mean, I was having this conversation with one of my friends this morning. He is the former CMO of a very successful company, a brand that we all know, and he's gone out on his own and is getting some, the new thing off the ground at the moment. And he's launching that. I'm obviously working through Brand Camp at the moment. It's a brand new product in the market. I've launched it to my audience. And, of course I have goals. He has goals. The reality is, you can have a goal and you can work your guts out towards it. You can have a plan. You can throw things at the wall. They may not stick. You can iterate, whatever. Ultimately, one thing that I have had to accept is I may not get the result that I want for this event. Like I might have a set number of tickets that I want to sell, and I may do everything I can think of to get there, and I may still not get there. And obviously I'm going to do everything that I can think of to get there, right? Because I'm committed. But also the failure is the way.
Yeah.
If you can lessen attachment to needing things to be exactly what you want and really approach things with, okay, it's imperfect, but I'm on my way. I'm going to learn from this. This isn't the only time I'm ever going to be successful. It's my one shot ever at life, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just drop that fear, everything flows so much more, right? There's a million opportunities. There's endless opportunities. There's so much out there. There's so many ways you can be successful. And if it's not this, then it will be something else, as long as you keep showing up. And so, not to bang on about it too much, but self-compassion and confidence, that recipe, those two things are fundamental to any level of success. And I think that's why business is just such a beautiful vehicle for personal growth and development, because you cannot be successful without having to learn the skill of holding yourself when you're unsuccessful. And
and sitting with that pain and agony.
We've all done it. We've all done it.
You do grow through failure. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we talk a lot about pricing on the podcast. Talk us through, because I found it interesting how you said you sacked a lot of your clients last year. With that process, did it come with a new way of pricing yourself for the clients you were trying to keep, or how did all of that evolve?
Really great question. No, it didn't. I mean, look, I am very fortunate that I have, major corporations as clients, and they tend to have pretty healthy budgets and, tend to be quite chivalrous and respectful in the way that they work. And I still keep a couple of clients that I really love, right? They're like family to me. And that's great. For me, I think one thing that I have recognized after doing this for so many years and having various iterations of my agency for the last almost 10 years is when you're offering a service, there's only really ever going to be a certain price that you can put on that service, which is in line with what the rest of the market is offering.
Yeah.
Because it's a service, there's a market value for it. You might be able to increase it slightly if you're you have a particularly unique style of creativity that the client really loves and wants, and so on. But ultimately, like if you're a writer and you're selling words, there's 1,000 other writers out there who are also selling words. And there's only so much fat you can add into your pricing based on the slightly different thing that you're offering, right? Because effectively you're solving the same you're solving the same problem. You're selling the same service as somebody, 100 other people.
Yeah.
Your rates are going to be set by the market. For me, having identified that and realizing, yes, I'm hungry, I'm ambitious, I always want the next level of success. The thing that I've realized is the only way to really be able to create unique value that allows you to set your own prices comes down to having a unique offer. And for me, my unique offer is me.
Yeah.
It's my influence, it's my personality, it's my brand, it's my thought leadership, it's my unique way of seeing the world, it's my relationships with my audience. And I mean, and that's how it is for all of us ultimately, right? Like if you're a creative, you absolutely have the opportunity to double down on your own brand, your own authority, your own unique way of doing things. But the more you can build your own influence, ability to offer impact, ability to scale your leverage, the more you can start to price yourself uniquely. And again, it's another huge reason why I recommend that every single creative really works hard on building their own personal brand, because otherwise you get stuck in this cycle of just constantly compromising, where you're either compromising on the work you're doing because you're choosing work that's a bit boring, but at least it pays well, or you're choosing work that you love, but it pays peanuts because everybody else loves it too. And so if you're stuck between the dance of those two things, you're going to be in that dance forever. It's like having a business where you earn money and then you spend it, and then you earn money and then you spend it, and you never get ahead because you're never actually stopping to save any of that money and invest it. And building your own personal brand is a bit like that. You need to apportion a percentage of your energy and time to building yourself. That's your savings. That's your investment. That is how you start to get the momentum that sees you get the better opportunities, that sees you get more leverage, that sees you get the freedom that you want to create the meaning, to create the impact, to do all of the things, to have the career that you actually wanted when you first got into this space. Otherwise, I see so many creatives. I see it in George's media circle, actually, and that's at the top tier of the industry. So many of us are compromising on what it is that we actually want for ourselves because we're afraid, we don't have the strategy to know how to separate ourselves and set ourselves up to charge what we want and work on the things that we want and invest in ourselves to create the level of expertise in the niche that we really want. I could rant about this all day, guys.
Oh, it's so good. Well,
It
we were
is.
one of our guests recently called some of the work that you're talking about, the words in, words out, is sort of churnalism, where you're just churning stuff out all the time. And I do think you have to stop. And we've talked a lot about value-based pricing in this, where people are paying for the value, not necessarily the amount of hours you put in or the amount of words you churn out. So I think that's really important. I'd love to talk a little bit about AI because you had some great takes on it. Because has AI influenced your work? I mean, when you're running an agency, do you have policies about AI generated work and the use of technology?
I mean, that's a great question. We haven't actually had any client yet say to us, don't use AI in your ideation. In fact, we did a really great campaign about 2 years ago. We shot the rebrand of Mantra, the hotel group, the Australian hotel group. And as part of that, one of the things that we did was we used the AI tool inside Canva, which was fantastic, to just generate some images that gave us a bit of a mood board around the way things might look. And I mean, and that kind of stuff is just, it's so helpful. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be greater stringency and regulation around it. Obviously we wouldn't be inputting any sensitive client information, and there's definitely rules and regulations about that from, I hear from our clients and so on. But for us, in terms of creative ideation and general content production, it hasn't really hit us. In fact, the main reason that I see AI impacting us is, one of my favorite clients in the world, actually, again, multinational corporation, said, listen, want you to know we love working with you. You are one of the most expensive on the market. And with AI coming, we're not going to be able to sustain the word rates that we have been able to pay you to date. It's just the bang for buck isn't justifiable for us anymore. And so we had to turn around and say, okay, well, let us look at how can we provide the edit over the top of AI generated content and reduce the word rate, quite significantly. So we're still providing you with a lot of value, but at a price point that works for both of us. I think
interesting.
That's kind of where we're going for a lot of, at least in the next 6 to 12 months. Beyond that, I was speaking to a really fascinating girl called Marissa Koss, who runs an AI agency. She's a member of George's Media Circle. And she was saying that one of the next big trends that we're going to see in the next couple of years is absolutely going to see the rise of live streaming from a video perspective as kind of the new form of reality TV, the new form of content. And if we think about, content becoming more personal and the rise of video and so on and so forth, I think as AI starts to absolutely swamp our feeds, our streams, our messaging, the only way that brands and people is really going to be able to get cut through, or the main way, is going to be by humanizing things even more, which is another reason why it's going to be so important that each of us is really working to build our own presence, build our own voice, build our own unique thought leadership, and all the things that I've just ranted on about for quite some time. It's
so interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we love to ask all our guests about their favorite tech tips or the tools they'd be lost without. So tell us what yours are.
You gave me that question before this interview, and I made a note, and the note for my top tool was coffee.
Actually, no one has ever said that.
But that's good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
Coffee and crying. I think I'm a really big believer that that a lot of success in life really, outer success is a result of inner work. And I spend a lot of time, and I certainly have done, journaling and meditating and looking at my own kind of self-limiting beliefs and the things that stop me from taking the action I know I need to take to get where I want to go. So those are kind of the basics. But beyond that, one of the tools that I can't really operate without is my CRM, which is Go High Level.
Mm-hmm.
Really, very much the new kid on the block, or has been for the last couple of years. Fantastic platform. Not cheap, but great for websites, developing online courses, obviously all your customer relationship management, it's email marketing. I mean, it's a bunch of different softwares that are bundled into the one spot, social media, calendaring and management, all sorts of things. So I would say Go High Level has taken the bottom out of ClickFunnels. It's sort of it's emerged as the new power player, and it's fantastic, particularly for agencies. And you can actually also on-sell what you've created, the way that you use Go High Level to your clients. So if you've got like email nurture sequences, for example, and you've set them up for your clients, and you can literally forward them the blueprint so they can buy your CRM in the way that you use it, as well as the way you set it up customly.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
I haven't heard of that. We'll definitely put that in the show notes. Yeah.
What do you guys use for your CRM?
I used to use Folk. I don't know if you've heard of Folk app, but it was quite interesting for a while. It was really useful to me for a while because you can, when you're searching people in LinkedIn, you can immediately put them into Folk as leads or people that, are interesting to you from an expert or interview point of view. But I needed something that bundled the project management as well as the client relationship stuff. So I use Moxie for that. Yeah.
Haven't even heard of it. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's a US product. So I sort of use that, and then I use something else for the invoicing. I use Rounded for my invoicing, but Moxie is really great because you can create all the forms, for lead generation and that sort of thing. And it's got a built-in pipeline. So anyone who fills in a form or wants to, book a call with you, it pops into your little sales pipeline with all the information, and you can go, "Ooh, I'm feeling confident about this one," or "No, this one's on hold," or "This one's in a proposal stage," or whatever. It's really cool. It's like I find the ones that I've stuck with, there's gamification built into it that sort of.
You like the gamification.
I love gamification. It's the same thing with Rounded. You can set your
Pie
goal
charts
for the month and set your goal for the year, and then you see it all happening in little charts and stuff. Anyway, I'm a sucker for that stuff.
Yeah. I use Trello to manage all my projects and stuff like that. And I like the moving and I love the cards. Maybe it's just some sort of background of having little cards at some point in my life. Yeah. And this is like virtual cards. So
virtual Post-it notes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's funny hearing you talk about Trello. I mean, because I was using Asana a lot, and I put it down, but on Instagram, actually, I saw a post from somebody who talked about how she is just not a planner. She's not particularly regimented. I think I kind of fall in that category. And I think a lot of us do when we're creatives. Not to say that you don't need a plan. You absolutely need a plan. You need timelines, you need goals, you need deliverables, all those things. And at the same time, if you are a really creative person and you don't thrive on details, sometimes getting too granular with a plan and having all the things that you have to tick off each day, it can get really overwhelming and kind of almost be counterproductive to the way that you work. I think Trello is fantastic because it's so visual, but it was just such an interesting tip for me, because it really validated for me how much better I am when I have the space to free think and focus on ideas and kind of show up intuitively each day doing what I know needs to get done in order to move my business ahead. But following intuition rather than the granular to-do list for me has been very helpful.
Yeah. And you need to find the tool that kind of works with your brain, or is almost like an extension of your brain and how you want to move through the things that you've got to do every day or every week. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I was on Asana as well, and I loved the little flying unicorn at the end of projects and stuff. So that was my favorite thing about it, but it was just too much. It was like unwieldy, and I didn't love it. So yeah, I've used
If
a lot
only
of
you
them.
could pick and choose like unicorns from this, colours from that. I mean, it'd be
No.
nice, wouldn't it?
They should build all that stuff in.
Yes.
The surprise and delight things are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Georgia. This has been such a great chat. And I think we've all got quite inspired about building brands without feeling icky. So this is
Yes.
good.
Yes.
And we're going to put certainly put in the show notes all the details about Brand Camp, including that special deal that you've got. And it's so exciting. I can't wait to go.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you there. It's going
Yeah.
to be really a lovely day, and I certainly hope that we can chat again soon, guys, because this is actually
Yes.
fantastic. It's just been lovely.
It has.
It's
It's
been
been
really good.
amazing.
Where's the best way to connect with you? Is it through your website, LinkedIn? What's the best way?
Oh, it's a great question. Probably you can apply to Georgia's Media Circle on Facebook. Just search Georgia's Media Circle, or you can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm at Georgia Rickard.
Fantastic.
Cool. And we'll do the links to Brand Camp as well in the
Yeah.
show notes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That brings us to the end of the show, but thank you for everyone who's listening, and don't forget to leave us a rating and a review on the platform where you pick up your podcast.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Great. See you next
Okay.
week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.